Carlos, you are giving us a call from Puerto Rico. He, him. Hey, what is up, Carlos? It sounds like you have a little bit of a problem with the growing evangelical movement, kind of in the U.S. of A. I also have a problem with it. What are your? I think Cross Examiner has a problem with it too. Actually, I've heard some of his podcasts, and he definitely talks about it. So, yeah, give us your thoughts real quick, Carlos, and we'll give you ours, and we'll wrap up. So.
First off, thank you for taking my call. I know it's late, and I know you guys have a lot of other things to do, so I appreciate it. I really wanted to get this point through because I feel like, especially from Cross Examiner, I feel like the input would be very, very useful. Just to make it short, there's this, not just in the U.S., but in Puerto Rico specifically, there's from like the past, give or take, like 4, 5, 6 years, there's been like this really, really, really growing movement of conservatives and evangelical Christians that I've been told by the call screener that there are some words that I have to be wary of, so I'm just going to try to not put them out there. But, you know, essentially they're trying to force religion in spaces that they shouldn't be forced in, and, you know, and basically in legal spaces where, you know, decisions are taken that affect a lot of people, specifically regarding matters like abortion and things that will be taught in school and how they will be taught in school and all that. It's going crazy, and it's very concerning for obvious reasons. But in my case specifically is because I've been seeing that there's I don't think it's too big of a group yet. And the yet is what's scary, but there's these organizations have a lot of power in how do you say it in English? I'm trying to directly translate the word, but like just a lot of power in their word, and they just call a lot of young people. And I've been seeing a lot of groups and smaller organizations, even student organizations, that are trying to advocate for a lot of these bigger parties that are, you know, what they're trying to enforce. And it's concerning because, you know, again, for reasons that we surely agree on. And I just wanted to know your input on what, you know, what we could do as secular thinkers, as atheists, or as activists. You know, I've even considered, I've been speaking with a friend who's also a very big fan of the show. What would it take for us to actually make the ACA in Puerto Rico, but not the Austin community, the Atheist Community of Austin, but rather the Atheist Community of Puerto Rico?
The Atheist Community of Puerto Rico, baby. Like, you know, nothing wrong with that.
Right. So I just wanted to know, like, what you guys would think, or what could you tell me for, you know, just to like how to navigate these things and how to like. I understand that sometimes it involves confrontation, sometimes it involves, you know, perhaps debating or just coming face to face with these people and trying to, you know, just push them on what they're trying to what they're implying with their views and you know, their policies and stuff.
Yeah. Cross Examiner, I know you've got good stuff on this, brother.
Yeah, this is kind of my wheelhouse. So just so everybody's aware, Puerto Rico is part of the United States, of course, and certain laws apply. And there is a history of this problem in Puerto Rico. My first recommendation is to support organizations like the Freedom from Religion Foundation, FFRF, and there is a Puerto Rico organization called, and I'm going to butcher the language, I never took Spanish, but Humanistas Seculares de Puerto Rico, or HUSE. It's you know, humanist, secular humanism for Puerto Rico. They have teamed up in the past to kick prayer out of schools, things like that. They are constantly doing what they do here in the continental United States, which is holding people in power, holding them accountable to the rules they're supposed to follow. So that would be my definite first approach, is support those people, be in touch with them, say, how can I help? And see if you can volunteer, donate money. If you run into issues, bring them to these organizations' attention, because they will affect change. So Freedom from a Religion Foundation is the one I'm more familiar with. all the time they get complaints, small and large, from citizens around the country, and they will farm them out to specialists. I interviewed an attorney for Freedom from Religion Foundation, Ryan Jane. I have a 2-part interview on my podcast where we go into this. And just in interviewing him, I had people reach out and say, hey, my daughter went to school and there was this private group in the cafeteria that was distributing religious literature. And sure enough, he's like, well, you should refer it to us. Write a letter, that behavior stops. So that's my first one. My second one is to do what you were contemplating, which is, how do we do an ACA in Puerto Rico? Well, you could do it by just doing it. I was sitting around the house one day and I'm like, I still have a job, but I want to participate. I want to help. I want to do some advocacy. I'll just start talking into a mic and see if people listen. And that has led to me sort of starting to appear on these shows and making connections where I think you can make a difference. So if you've got a skill set, maybe you're a good organizer, maybe you're a good speaker, maybe you know people, maybe you've just got a room where a lot of people can meet, go and create a meetup. If they've got some sort of system that you're comfortable using, maybe have the first meetup in public, etc. But find people that are like-minded in your area to meet up and talk about these things, because just the process of talking about them, people will start saying, you know what, we should do this, and maybe that's not a good idea. But then the next time somebody say, maybe you should do this, and maybe that's a good idea. And then you start affecting change. And I'm assuming it's the same in Puerto Rico as it is in the continental United States. But that saying of all politics is local is 100% true. That's why you see organization after organization on the other side that's trying to push religion down the throat of the United States once again, hitting every local school board, hitting every little issue that's a local political one. And I don't want to get political here. I'm not taking a stance on that. I'm just saying it takes a lot of effort to push back. So even if you can, in one small part, create a local group that's just like, you know what, we're going to canvass. We're going to hand out the flyers that you can download from the ACA's website to listen into these things. We're just going to raise awareness. That really helps. But ultimately, if they're trying to do something unconstitutional, they're trying to violate the law, definitely contact FFRF or HUSC and get them involved, because in the end, they know they're doing wrong. They know the politicians who do this don't care that they're wasting taxpayer money by doing it. If they're instituting laws or putting prayer in school or whatever it may be, they don't care that they're wasting time doing it. And they don't care that they eventually, if they keep it up, will get sued, and the taxpayers have to pay a whole bunch of money defending a suit that they know they're going to lose. The only reason they care about it is because they can turn around to their core voters and say, Christian nationalism is the way to go, and they'll get votes, even though they're violating the highest law that they swore to uphold. So that's what FFRF does. HUSC, since they partner with them, I assume that they're focused on that as well. I know as recently as in 2020, those two organizations partnered together to get prayer out of schools in certain Puerto Rico schools. So those are my two ideas. I don't know, SR, if you have any other ideas.
Man, you hit abso-freaking-lutely everything. Again, I knew this would be your wheelhouse, and I'm so glad, Carlos, that you called in, because I didn't even know about that organization in Puerto Rico, and that's super cool. So like, there's something super duper tangible and close, Carlos. The only thing really I would just add is yeah, there are a bunch of wonderful nonprofit organizations like this who have that as their focus, right? American Atheists, the Secular Student Alliance, there really are just a bunch of wonderful organizations out there who, have a very similar, if not the same mission as like the ACA and Freedom from Religion, and so forth. So I think there is a huge starting point. It's not the end point, unfortunately. The fight is long. The fight is difficult. It is nuanced. It will take us repeating ourselves 15,000 motherfucking times, saying the same thing over and over again, seemingly beating our heads against the wall. But I will tell you, Carlos, it's because there are people like you. It's because there are people like us here at the ACA, because there are people like FFRF, that we have any of the progress or goodness that we have, right? It is because of us constantly fighting this battle that we have moved the needle so far. Unfortunately, it's not a fight that has an end. it is something we will always have to make sure that we defend, because the moment we take our eyes off of that separation of religion and government, well, we see what happens. We see what happens, right? The moment we take our eyes off of how destructive these ideologies are, and how permeating they want to be, right? They will start to encroach again. So, I think the only thing I can add, other than those extra some of those other great organizations, some of those other great 501c3s, find a way or a place where you can decompress a little as well too. And that's one of the great things about the community here, right? The Atheist Community of Austin, baby. It's great to celebrate together, and it's great to plan and organize and figure out what the next move is, and how we make the world a better place, and champion, secular humanism and critical thinking. It's also really, really nice to, again, just have a place where you just go, damn, this shit is annoying, and just really let
Right.
it out with some people who understand. Because without us taking that self-care, without us making sure that we're in a space where we actually do have the spoons to continue this fight, we just won't, right? We just won't be able to. So yeah, just make sure that you're keeping yourself and your own well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically, in that as well. So give us some final thoughts here, Carlos, and we'll let you go and get over to Discord. So
Of course, cross-examiner, thank you so much. I did not know about Humanistas Seculares de Puerto Rico. I'm definitely going to check them out. I was aware of another organization here, but when I checked them out, I feel like they've been inactive for a while. But that one you mentioned, I did not know, so I'm definitely going to try to see if I can participate with them, or just get in touch in any way. I appreciate all the input as well. Elliot, I really, really appreciate that as well. And that was a very touching part that you mentioned in the end, just make sure to be okay physically and then mentally, emotionally, because definitely these are topics that are important. These are topics that, they circle through my mind on a daily basis, and I try to educate myself a little bit more every day. And it's just trying to reach for a community, especially here when atheism is still very much taboo. Even the word, it's sometimes even used. Atheist is sometimes used as jokingly as an insult. Like people will just say it in Spanish. They'll be like, te pasa por ateo, which means that happens to you for being an atheist. And I do appreciate the input and everything. So, and thank you again for taking my call. I hope you guys have a wonderful night.